watching. I know that you've been waiting for Dr. Day. So, because you know that today's class is going to be garbled up, we need for you to do the work, to share this information, tag, text, like, follow, put somebody's name there. Tell them that this is a wake-up call for all of us. So let me turn on my computer, my record button, because as you know, we're going to be talking about this book, right? Okay, so we're going to behave. I've got some stuff. I'm going to have stuff to tell you later on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the record button. Now, it's important that you guys know that we are going to have a class. Oh, let me see. I'll tell this after we start the music. So today we have Dr. Lorraine Day, and we're going to learn about what's going on today, in the past, in the future. And we're going to talk about the deliberate destruction of America and the world, who's doing it and why. So fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, Dr. Day. A little head bop, a little head bop.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in to the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, right before I started speaking, I clicked a couple of times and my screen just blew up. So, you know, there is such a thing as spiritual warfare, and there is such a thing as technical difficulties. I don't know which one this is, but I know that whatever we do, we're going to forge forward, because that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at our future. What should we expect? We are talking to Dr. Lorraine Day today about her latest book. I don't know how she has found time to write this book. Look at how thick it is. Let me show you. This is my interlinear Bible. I'm about to hurt my wrist here. This is my interlinear Bible, and this is Dr. Day's book. And I'm telling you, it is a really important book to read, full of facts. It's amazing, amazing. And so today we're going to talk about the deliberate destruction of America with my favorite eye poker. I must admit, I really love it when Dr. Day pokes me in the eye. I've gotten used to it, and I hope that you have gotten used to it too, because when you get poked in the eye, that's the time to do the research. That's the time to say, and even if you don't get poked in your eye, you go, oh yeah, I know this, I know this, I know this. Well, how do you know it? Have you researched it? Is this something that was taught to you from childhood, or is this something that has been taught to you by, you know, someone's told you about it over and over again? This is not only going to tell you what's going on, it's also going to share with you the facts of where she got the information. So, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Dr. Lorraine Day is here to do just that. Are you ready to poke me in the eye, Dr. Day?
Well, the whole book pokes you in the eye almost every page, right?
It does. I actually wear it with my sunglasses. I mean, I read it with my sunglasses, but it is amazing. It's amazing how much information that you have in your book. So let's start from the very beginning here, because I want to say something before we get started. We are keeping this general. We are keeping this an overview of the book, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to spend an hour talking basic conversation, because I want this information to be heard. And I want you to be thirsty enough to learn more. And so Dr. Day and I agreed that after we say goodbye to all of you, we're going to go behind closed doors. We're going to record. I don't know how long it's going to be. And that is going to be Dr. Lorraine Day raw. She's not going to be held back. She's going to say whatever she wants to say of the 12 sections in the book, her new book, The Deliberate Destruction of America, Who's Doing It and Why. But now we're going to do something different. So pay attention here. Do you see the number right here, 407-373-5959, right there? You need to text me your questions, because after I ask her all her questions, I'm going to ask her your questions. But you got to text me your question. And if you want me to quote scripture to her, or if it's from a passage or something that you want me to do, make sure you include all that in there. I will read it to Dr. Day, and that will be uploaded. I'm either going to upload it today, or it all depends. I'll probably upload it on Friday, but give it some time, give it some time. But I want you to come back and watch this video. I don't know. What do you think, Dr. Day? Should we upload it today?
Well, the whole point is that there will be many, many questions, because I'm going to try to pique your interest. The book, many people have said, once you get the book, it's a little hard to put it down because there's so much information in it. So don't ask me the questions that will be found, the answers will be found in the book. You need to get the book, because there's no way I could do it. The book is over 800 pages long. It's 8.5 by 11. There's a lot of information. You need to get that information and digest it. You need to really look at it over and over again.
Okay, so let's start. One of the questions that came to me right before you came on was, and I shared this with you a couple of days ago, that I just want to protect you. And you don't need protection. God protects you. You know where your protection comes from. But I feel this, when I see something negative about you, or if I read something and it doesn't faze you one bit, because you know the truth. You know the truth. But let's start from people who are just tuning in for the first time and maybe have read that you're anti-Semitic, that you're an anti-Semite. And how is it that you're not, when you talk about a certain race or religion or whatever? So how is it?
Well, this is going to be hard to answer on this part of the program. Maybe we should answer that on the next part of the program.
Well, but you are not. You're not not anti-Semitic.
But see, that's not really the point of anything, because that is just a smear term. I show in the book that one of the Israeli ministers said, we use that smear term whenever we want to try to destroy somebody's credibility.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
In the third or fourth chapter of the book, I explain all that. God loves everybody the same. I love everybody the same. As I say on the homepage of my website at goodnewsaboutgod.com, there are good people in every race and ethnicity and color, and there are bad people in every race, ethnicity, and color. I am a equal opportunity eye poker. if you, I don't care what race you are, I don't care what color you are. If you're doing well, fine. If you are evil, I will expose you. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. I'm white. There are white people who are doing many evil things.
Yes.
There are Black people who are doing many evil things. There are Asians who are doing many evil things. And there are other ethnicities that are also doing very evil things. I am an equal opportunity exposer. So the point is, it has nothing to do with race.
And I know that. And I know how kind and generous you are. And people who want to distract you from the truth will hit you with that. And I just wanted to clear that out of the way. So if any of you are making any comments that are negative towards Dr. Day, you will be deleted. If you make a comment that you disagree with what she says, that's fine. You have the right to disagree.
But you need to have some evidence for your disagreement.
Sure,
There are so many
absolutely.
people who say, well, I don't believe that. Oh, well, then show me the evidence for what you believe. Show me the
Yes.
evidence. What has happened to people these days is this. Just this morning, I got an email from an acquaintance that about a week ago, I sent him an email and I said, you should get this series of DVDs because I gave him the address and all that. It's something he's interested in. So today he emails me again and he said, what was that email that you sent me? What was the address of that? Well, all he has to do is look up his past emails. But he's too lazy to do that. So he wants me to spend my time going back and trying to find this thing. I said, look it up in your past emails. He's young. This is what's happened to the younger generation. I don't want to do the work. You do the work for me.
That's right.
You see, it's selfishness, it's immaturity, it's childishness. There was one man who wrote something about COVID, and he gave me a question, and he said, I was hoping you could do the research for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? I don't even know this person. He wants me to do the research for him.
I know.
That's the way people have become. And that is the problem. And that has been a deliberate plan by our enemies to destroy the vigor of the youth, to make people lazy and selfish and childish, because that's how they are. Mm-hmm. And they want to make us just like them. So people have gotten that way and they don't even realize it. Well, I don't believe that. That's childish. That's like saying, your mother wears hiking boots or something, it's 3-year-olds yelling at each other. That's a crazy thing. Just do the research. If you think I'm not correct, then you do the research and you show me where I'm wrong. Not people are always saying, well, people say that I should take a lot of supplements. Oh, people, which people? And what credentials do they have? What people? And they're always saying, well, people say. I don't give a rip what people say. I give a rip what is truth. And you have to study truth. When I wrote my book, Who Rewrote the Bible, it was 12 years of research. This book is 30 years of research. I was just as dumb about politics as everybody else until the 1980s. I actually voted before the 1980s. I thought my vote counted. Your vote doesn't count. It has never counted in all the time that we have been alive. It has never counted. Oh, they stole the election this time. Yes, they did. They've stolen the election every time.
Every time.
Okay. So I haven't voted for over 30 years when I realize it's all a sham. It keeps people going. Oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. And every time when the election comes up, and of course there's an election for congressman every 2 years, so everybody gets all distracted by doing it on something that doesn't matter at all. Mm-hmm. You see, the Congress is owned, the Senate is owned. They are controlled from a much higher level. So the whole point of all of this, you get all excited about this and that and the other thing. And a lot of even the COVID talk is nonsense because it doesn't make any difference.
Yes.
And we will discuss it. I discuss that in my book, what's really going on about COVID and how everybody's being distracted by this and that and the other thing.
Yeah, it's all about distraction. And I remember when I first started looking into all this new illness that was hitting us last year, and all of a sudden they're talking about shutting us down and all this stuff, I started really researching patents, and I started researching all this stuff that was being brought to my attention. And little did I know I would go down a different rabbit hole. I thought I got down a rabbit hole of nutrition, and with all the medicalization that's out there, whether it's like, like I said, take a pill, you can take responsibility. Once you become medicalized, then you're like sucked into the system, and you can't even think for yourself. You can't think that, there is God's way to eat. There's something in the Bible that's free. And Dr. Day comes on to these classes to talk about how, health is yours should you choose to follow God's plan. It's just mind blowing that people wouldn't want to just buy these books, read them up and want to be as healthy as you possibly can. So Dr. Day, I am very grateful. And I've said this to you before, behind closed doors and in the classroom, grateful that you have taken a stand. And you don't give, like you said, I don't give a rip if anybody says anything about me or not. But there's a part of me that just wants to just go, okay, come here, let me just, but you don't need that. You have got this strength that God has given you, this power to speak the truth. And so with that in mind, why now write this book that, you know what? I thought it was the bands that was making my muscles get strong, but it's holding your book.
Well, actually, I started becoming aware of what was happening when I was in San Francisco when the AIDS epidemic started. As I tell you, before that, I was just a hardworking doctor. I actually read the Wall Street Journal. I read the Los Angeles Times. I read the New York Times. I thought they were telling the truth. That's how stupid and naive I was.
Yeah.
And then when the AIDS epidemic came along, and I was a surgeon in San Francisco, and I was heavily involved in taking care of AIDS patients. We had a whole ward of mostly gay men and drug addicts dying from AIDS. And then I started realizing that the government was covering up so many things. And I was asked to be interviewed on many television programs and radio shows. I actually, at that time, during those years, I did over 1,000 radio shows. And I was on, CNN Crossfire, Oprah Winfrey, Larry King Live, all the news shows, eventually featured on 60 Minutes, and even Australian 60 Minutes came up to America to do a show on me. I started at first, as I've said before, I thought they really wanted to know truth. But then I learned, no, their plan was to destroy my credibility. Mm-hmm. And because I was the highest ranking academic surgeon speaking out about this, and everybody else was afraid. Mm-hmm. And I got many death threats. But again, as I say, they can only kill me once. I have no fear of death. I don't really look forward to what they might do to me before they kill me, but God has promised to go through it with me. And if everybody is afraid to tell the truth, then nobody will know the truth. And true love of God casts out all fear. They kill me, so what? I will have done what I needed to do. And not only has God put that in my heart, but he gave me the Father to put that in my heart. My father was a huge influence in my life. He said, no matter what, you tell the truth. If they come to kill you, you tell the truth. You never falter. And I dedicated one of my books, Who Rewrote the Bible, to my father, who said over and over to me when I wanted to do the things that other kids were doing, he'd say, herd instinct, herd instinct, herd instinct. Don't follow the herd. You decide what's right and stand on your own 2 feet. And I heard that hundreds of times while I was growing up. And so even when I was speaking out about the AIDS epidemic, my medical colleagues, other doctors would come to me and say, man, you're going to lose your job. I said, so I'll go get another one that's easier than this one, because I was operating night and day. I loved my job, but it was killing me. And to prove it was killing me, I eventually
got cancer.
Okay,
so, a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Right. So I don't mince words at all. We're only doing an overview now because of certain political factors, But I do not mince words because I tell the truth. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't like it. Eventually, you'll find out it's true. When I was talking about years ago, and it's starting in 1990, and then I wrote my book called The Coming New World Order, How It Will Change Everything in Your Life. I wrote that in 2008, 12 years ago.
Is this the one?
That's it. That's the one. I
Yeah.
wrote that in 2008. And I said, it's going to change everything in your life. And, everybody goes, she's a little nuts, Well, when this all started happening, they didn't think I was so crazy anymore, because I predicted all that's happening now in that book. Now, that was a smaller book because I felt I needed to get some of these documents out that I had since 1990, when I realized that all this was going to happen. And I thought it would actually happen first at Y2K, but they weren't ready yet. So it's happening now. But what I felt, you see, they can, with a push of a button, they can eliminate this show. They can eliminate every video I've ever done. They can eliminate every video any truth teller has done. But it's harder for them to burn books. They will do it. There will be book burnings, and my books will be in them, I'm sure. But it's harder for them to find every book to burn it. And God can protect those. And so I felt, first of all, that it had to be written down in book form, which is much harder to do than a video or, a podcast. So because you've got to, get it really organized in a book form. Yeah. And I felt that it needed to be done. Plus, because I am the age I am, I have a much more complete view of history. Yeah. And, I was around, I remember when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941. I was 4 years old, but I remember that day because of the look on my father's face when he came out of a store. He had taken me in the car with him. And at that time, you could leave children in the car for 5 minutes. Nobody would come and abduct them. And so when he came out of the store, I could tell, even though I was 4 years old, something happened. Because he was pale and he said to me, Japan has just bombed Pearl Harbor, we're at war. And I understood that. I mean, at 4 years old, I didn't understand it completely, but I did understand that something bad was going on. And then when I was 6, I was in Washington, D.C. We were having air raids. I went through air raids in World War II because I was in Washington, D.C. with my grandmother, my father's mother, for 3 months, because my mother was in New York, in Brooklyn, taking care of her mother dying from cancer, who was being killed with chemotherapy from the famous chemotherapy hospital, Sloan Kettering. Sloan Kettering was killing my grandmother at that time. Medicine had already killed my paternal grandfather. He had died from massive bone cancer when his oldest child was 16, my father, and his youngest child was 2. He died at a very young age from bone cancer from the medicine they had been giving him, which was supposed to be a tonic, supposed to make you feel good. It was filled with mercury. It was filled with the deadly element of mercury. And he developed bone cancer and died and left 6 children from ages 16 to 2. So this is what medicine has done to my family. And you might say, well, why did you go? Why did you become a doctor then? Well, I didn't understand at that time how medicine had killed my family. But when I got to medical school, I did. And that's why I became a trauma surgeon, because trauma is different from disease. Diseases are caused by the way we live, think, act, eat, and handle stress. Trauma is accidents. I can put you back together and you can go live your life. But I felt that it was very important that I, with this long lifespan, and there aren't many people my age who still have the recollection of those things, and their mind still works well. Because you see, here's how life was. I have written this down. Here's how America was when I was a child. It was largely a Christian nation. This is from the book. A nation that believed in and reverenced God. No one locked their cars. No one locked the doors of their houses. Children could be left in cars while a parent went into a store for a few minutes. Children as young as 6 could go downtown on a public bus by themselves. Mm-hmm. Children could hitchhike. My brother and I would hitchhike downtown when I was 6 years old and he was 9, and we would be picked up by total strangers. It was totally safe. Everybody picked up hitchhikers. Everybody picked up hitchhikers. Nobody got murdered. Nobody got slaughtered. Children were safe because people believed in God. There were no security cameras in homes, no security cameras in stores. Children came home from school and played outside, and they weren't called latchkey children. Families ate dinner together every night. Business could be done with a handshake because most people were honest. People were hardworking with goals other than just accumulating money. Mothers cooked and ironed clothes and cleaned house and taught their daughters how to do those things. I actually know how to do those things. I sewed my children's clothes when they were growing up. There was no road rage. Children respected their parents and their elders. There was virtually no foul language. There was still shame for doing something wrong. Correct. You had shame when you did something wrong, and that taught you not to do it again. People respected the law and respected the courts. The police were there to protect the people. The people were not afraid of the police. People were kind, courteous, not crude and angry. There was virtually no pornography. TV programs were wholesome and uplifting, not lascivious, salacious, filthy, and demonic. There were psychics and astrologists were known for what they were, satanic. This kind of programming would not have been tolerated on TV or in the movies at that time. Young people had manners, were considerate to each other. Men opened doors for women. Women thanked them. Young girls and women dressed modestly, not like prostitutes. Young people were clean and neat and dressed appropriately. There were no drug medications advertised on TV. In fact, very few Americans took drug medications and many other things. Life was different. Mm-hmm. Life was very different until we have been taken over by an alien nation. And everything has been destroyed, everything good. I said on one of your programs in the past, I was a few months ago, about a year ago, I needed a new backpack because we were going to do some hiking. And so I went in to buy the backpack, and they were all chained together. It was in Walmart, and they were all chained together. And so there was a young guy there who was the clerk, and he had to unchain them for me. He was about 23 or 24. He was American born or had been in America for a long time because he had no accent. He was Hispanic. And so I said, you know why they chain these together? And he said, yeah, because my boss says I have to. And I said, well, there's another reason too. And he said, what's that? And I said, because nobody keeps the 10 commandments. And he looked at me and he said, is that some religious thing or something? He'd never heard of them.
Isn't that sad?
That would have never happened 60 years ago. That would have never happened. And so America has left God. And so what is happening now is that God is stepping back and he says, if you don't want me, I'll let you see how it is for Satan to run your world. So I felt it was very important for me to write all of this down to show how it was and to show how much we've been lied to. As I've said on this program many times, the former CIA director said, we will know our disinformation program is complete when everything America believes is a lie.
William Casey, 1981. And I remember you coming on to the classroom in 2013 and saying these things. And you just not just poked me in the eye, you kicked me in the stomach, because it was just stuff that I had never heard before. And it was like, okay, when you are brought up by right fighters, you learn to fight for right. And it was like, okay, well, why haven't I been ever told this? And so I started researching William Casey. I started researching all these things. And I'll be honest with you. The first time I met you, when we were talking about, I researched you because I was looking about water. You know, how does water help the body? And all of a sudden your name came up, and I started researching you there. And I was looking about the way you were eating. And at the time I had been asked to do a 30-day challenge to go raw vegan. And so after 4 days of this challenge, because I can do anything for a month. I mean, it's like bring it. It sounds like it's a harmful thing. So I accepted the challenge, and about 4 days after accepted the challenge, I really felt good, but I didn't feel bad. And so I started thinking, well, if they lied to me about food, what else did they lie to me about? And that started my journey down that rabbit hole. But, it wasn't until last year, with the things that happened last year, that I didn't see how truly evil this was. And it wasn't about government. It was about good versus evil. And that gave me a thirst to learn God's word even deeper. And so, I talked about spirituality before last year, but I didn't really, I talked about our creator, our higher power, but I didn't really talk about Jesus in the classroom, because I didn't want to exclude anybody. And so now I feel this boldness to, just like my friend here, John the Baptist Jr., who's out there proclaiming, that, prepare the way here, because this is coming. Now, the book, you have broken down this book into 12 sections, but it has many, many chapters.
Right.
And so with that in mind, you talk about these blueprints. And by the way, I want to remind all of you that if you want me to ask the question, because I won't be able to be looking on Facebook and YouTube and all that. If you want me to ask a question, like maybe if the question is for now, I'll see at the end of the classroom, because we have another hour or two to record with Dr. Day after we're done with our hour today. So we may not have a very long conversation after with the teacher's pets, because we have some greater work to do, because there's a lot of information here as to why these wars are starting. Who is Osama bin Laden? What is the music? What are the stations? What are all these things happening in the world that I am beginning to now go down a new rabbit hole? So if you want me to ask a question that you've read the book, now you've read the book, or you've got the book and you want to ask me a question or ask Dr. Day a question, you text me at 407-373-5959. And then those are the questions I will be asking. Now, I decided that because today's classroom is going to go into podcasts, and I want to give people time to kind of digest this, because although we're being basic here, we're just sprinkling salt on people so that you feel thirsty enough to learn new truths, more new truths. Then after we're done with the classroom today, Dr. Day and I are going to go black. We're going to black out. We're going to do a private class where she can say whatever she wants, and then it's going to be uploaded into my BitChute account. Now, how do you find my BitChute account? You go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Make sure that when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you subscribe there, so that if anything happens, that you know where to find me. Whenyouneedafriend.com. Like me, follow me. And I need for you to start liking my BitChute account, so that will grow. People say all these things about me. Oh, you're still on Facebook. You're still on YouTube. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this platform. If I weren't on this platform right now, you would not hear about this. So we have 12,000 people that are tuning in on a regular basis that are subscribed, not the ones that are watching the classroom without subscribing. So I need for you guys to start migrating to BitChute and start liking me there, so that this classroom can be raw, because that's what we're going to do. I'm going to record Dr. Day, no holds bar. She's going to be raw and live, and whatever she wants to say, I am not going to stop her. But today in this classroom, because we want you to be curious enough to say, could this be true? Let me look at the evidence. Let me look at more evidence. And if you disagree with it, find the evidence as to why. So I want to tell you that classroom, the one we're going to do after this, is going to go up on Friday. So I'm going to do it on Friday, because tomorrow we have Dr. Richard Horowitz. And then on Friday, we have a watch party. So what I'll do is I will upload it at that time, so that you guys have Dr. Day raw and no holding back. Okay. So Dr. Day, you talked about the blueprints in this book, and you're very clear. There are 14 blueprints. Yep. And one of those is Agenda 21, which I think we can possibly talk about, I don't know. You tell me if we can talk about it without.
Well, first of all, you need to know that there are many blueprints out there, and our enemies have printed them. They have told us what they're going to do to us.
Yes.
All this that's happening now, they have told us.
Yes.
They've told us. And yet everybody, Jesus said, he said, as it was in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the flood came and took them all away. Even so will it be in the coming of the Son of Man. That is what's going to happen. Jesus is coming soon. This is the great controversy between Christ and Satan. Everybody's asleep. They're so busy with, they stole the election. They, are you a member of this party? Are you woke? Are you this? They got their Xboxes and they're not paying attention to what is happening. The enemies have written it all down. I have all of these roadmaps in the book. The first chapter is a long chapter. It's about 67 pages long, but it shows you very clearly what they've done. Now, many chapters are only 2 pages long or 3 pages long, but the first chapter is very, very long because I lay out for you that they have told you what they're going to do to you. And if you knew this, I get all these emails from people who say, well, I had no idea that the testing could do harm to me or the vaccinations are bad for us. Well, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If people had been reading their Bibles, God says his spirit, his breath of holiness will lead us into all truth, medical truth, political truth, spiritual truth. All right. So that's what we're discussing. So I've given you all that. You look at the January 10, 1963 congressional record. It's all there. It's all there. Report from Iron Mountain. It's all there. And I tell you who these people are. You see the covers of the books. You see all of it. You see it's real. And it's all there. Now, the only roadmap that tells you what's really going to happen at the end is the Bible in Daniel and Revelation. And in our Revelation series, we discuss what's going to happen at the end. And I tell you here, I talk about the beast. I talk about the beast power at the end of the book. I tell you who it is. I tell you what they're doing. And I tell you what they think is going to happen to them. And I tell you what God says is going to happen to them. So the first thing I do is lay out that they have told you this is all going to happen. They told all of us this is all going to happen. And so then the next, and I show you the plan for a one world government has been in effect for over 4,000 years. 4,000 years.
This is so hard to believe, that 4,000 years this has been going on. This is the plan, when most people don't even understand that what's happening now, let alone 4,000 years ago.
Yeah. Well, Nimrod tried to form a one world government at the Tower of Babel. That was the first attempt. And so then I show you also that there are no conspiracy theories. There are conspiracies. People conspire against each other, but there are no conspiracy theories. It's either true or it's a lie. So don't get into, that's a conspiracy theory. No, it's either true or it's a lie. If you think it's a lie, show me.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then the third chapter, I talk about nothing has changed. Nothing changed for 5,800 years. Then everything changed. And you will see how nothing changed for the first 5,800 years of humanity. And then everything has changed, getting ready for what is happening now. That's why I recognized it, because I could see, all of these things have had to happen in order for this to take place at the end. Then I tell you who is in charge of the media, who owns Hollywood, who wants to destroy the family, who has perverted the education of American children, who is purposely destroying the U.S. military. The U.S. military is being purposely destroyed so we will not be able to defend ourselves. And I tell you who's doing that and exactly how they're doing that. I talk about who controls the immigration policy of America and when they took it over. and what they have done to destroy our way of life. And then the planned destruction of the US economy started in 1913, over 100 years ago. And then I tell you who controls the mafia. It's not who you think. It's not who Hollywood tells you controls that. And as I said, we've been taken over by an alien nation, and you'll find out who that is. And don't say, oh, it's China. It's China. Look at China. Look at China. You want to know who controls China. Okay. And then I talk about how 3 cities in the world control the world. 3 cities that are independent and have no laws of any government. They make their own laws. And then I tell you about specific agencies that are doing everything, and they have some of the brightest worldly minds cooking up some of the most horrific things to do to human beings. It's unbelievable. And then I tell you how man can control the weather. They can't control the weather. Well, everybody knows that years ago they seeded clouds to make rain for the farmers. That was the very beginning of weather control. But they've been controlling the weather ever since 1976. They did that. They started in 1976 as a hand in your face of Americans. It was the 200-year anniversary of the birth of our country. So they said, we'll show you. Okay. So then, and what is the truth about, is the world actually warming up? Is it cooling off? What is it actually doing? And why? You will find that in the report from Iron Mountain. You will find out how that came into being. Then I talk about, all of these things like the Van Allen radiation belt. The Van Allen radiation belt was discovered just a few years before I was in college. And so you have to start saying, well, all these Mars shot and the moon shot, can they get through the Van Allen radiation belt? You will find out the temperatures of the Van Allen radiation belt and why God put it around the earth. It's there for a very specific reason. And then I have information about the World Trade Center attacks. And of course, with Osama bin Laden, they talk about how he was responsible for that. Well, he was actually a CIA agent named Tim Osman. I have a picture of him in there as CIA.
Got lots of pictures,
Yes, lots of pictures, because many times pictures are necessary to show the truth of the matter, and how Osama bin Laden actually died. He was on dialysis at the time of kidney failure, at the time of the World Trade Center attack, and he died shortly after. So then that brings into question, well, how did they kill him?
And we'll talk about that later on, right? Yes. Yeah.
And so then we talk about when Ruth Bader Ginsburg actually died, the Supreme Court justice. There's some interesting things there. And we talk about the Boston bombing, the Sandy Hook. I talk about many of those things in the book. And then I talk about the degradation of America's elite. What's going on there, and why is that happening? And who did Jeffrey Epstein work for, and who funded him, and why did all of this go on? I talked to you about that. And the government's promotion of various perversions.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's actually running the drugs? When all these drugs are brought into America, who's really responsible for that? Are these just drug lords, or do they have a higher association than that?
Yeah.
Then I talk to you about all the ways that they have been destroying the health of America. People think, oh, now there are really bad things going on. But if you look at it, here's what's been going on for the last 100 years. Disease pandemics, adulteration of the food. We have now processed food. We've got MSG and those things in the food.
GMOs too.
GMOs.
Yeah.
We have abortion, we have birth control. They are culling the population already with these kinds of things that people are willingly taking. Willingly. They are sacrificing themselves on the altar of convenience. and just putting themselves right in the hands of those who want to eliminate us. Weather modification, floods and tornadoes and things like that. Fluoridation of the water. What is that all about? There's a chapter in there about that. What's the origin of all these street drugs? Where did they come from? When they started Woodstock, who was it that provided all the drugs at Woodstock? That was sort of the beginning of the flower people and that whole age of that. And the escalation of routine diseases. What do drugs that are prescribed by doctors, what do they really do to you? And that they're going to eliminate all healthcare. So you better learn how to take care of yourself. And how doctors are never taught really how to get you well. I'm not saying that some doctors don't have a good heart, but they are just as dumb now as I was before I woke up. When I was involved in all of these things, doctors have no clue that they are just being used by the upper levels of this New World Order as stooges to actually destroy the health of the people.
And you know that right there, many people hear that and they go, oh, I can't believe this. Like, and I've, been talking about fire your doctor. If your doctor is healthy and if they can't take care of themselves, how can they take care of you? So
doctors die of every disease at the same rate as the general population. Doctors die, and their suicide rate is higher. Okay. So if a doctor let's look at cancer. I have many doctor friends who have died of cancer. When I developed cancer, I said, they can't get me well. They don't know how to get me well. If they did, they wouldn't die themselves from cancer. So if a doctor doesn't know how to prevent or reverse his or her own cancer, how can they do it in you? They can't. Start thinking. Don't just go and bow at the knees of the white coats. Don't do that, because they don't know how to keep themselves well. So drugs don't cure disease. I have a DVD named that. Drugs don't cure disease. They don't. They only treat symptoms. And they have numerous side effects that cause additional diseases. So you have to learn how to take care of because they're going to cut you off. They're going to say, too expensive to take care of all these older people. And now younger people are on more and more drugs. So they're getting rich while they're destroying your health. Why would you play into their hands? So then we've got the whole thing on why do they want to eliminate certain races? Why is it that certain groups they want to eliminate, and they're demonizing certain races? And why is it that the center of the world, are you aware that the center of the world is between Asia on the east and Europe on the west and Africa on the south? And that's where God created the Garden of Eden. So then, and that's where God created the original nation of Israel, through which Jesus Christ, the Messiah of Christianity, would come. So then when everybody was going through that area for travel and the merchandising of goods, they would have to come through that area. So why is it that certain groups want to have that particular piece of land? It's very important to understand why. And then as we talked about the elimination of healthcare and all the pandemics we've had in the past, what were they for? Like H1N1 and swine flu and bird flu, those poor animals, those pigs are responsible for everything. And now we got a bat in China, we got the bats and the pigs and the birds, and it's crazy. They always blame it on an animal. So then also we talk about what was the cause of World War I? And what was the motive? It's not what you think. What was the cause? Who started World War II? Not what you think. They have rewritten history. And I tell you, there were certain things about World War II. I was alive during World War II, and I was alive after World War II, and certain things we never heard of until 20 years after World War II. Suddenly we start hearing about all these things that happened in World War II. What about that? We never heard about that. Why didn't Eisenhower, who was a general in World War II, and Winston Churchill, who was Prime Minister of England, and Charles de Gaulle, who was Premier of France, why did they talk about those things in their memoirs? 9,000 pages of memoirs collectively, and they never even spoke of it. And 20 years later, we hear about all these things. You see, because they have rewritten history. That's one reason I had to write the book, is to revise history back to the truth, because the victors always rewrite history, and they have done a magnificent, in quotation marks, job of rewriting history, so people don't really know what happened.
Yeah.
And then we talk about there's a coming one world religion. Pope John Paul started getting all of the religions together, Hinduism, and we all worship the same God. Well, no, we don't. No, we don't. There's only one God. And he is the God of the Bible. There are numerous false gods, but you have to be able to separate the difference. And the one world religion will eventually be the worship of Satan. It'll go to atheism first, and then it will be the worship of Satan. And people don't realize how much they have been programmed to actually accept that. So, and I talk about the Nephilim, that people talk about, they're Satan's children and they can't be saved and all that. Well, I tell you what the Bible really says about that. Mm-hmm. And I tell you about the Noahide laws. Now the government has passed laws that they can kill Christians, and you'll find
out. And there's a CPT code for that too. Right. And we'll talk about that when we upload. Right. You'll know on Friday. On Friday, we're going to give you some extra reasons to want to join us on BitChute on Friday. So, right. Okay.
But even the people who have taken over our world are deceived by their leader, Satan, and they think they're going to rule for 10,000 years of peace. But according to the Bible, they will rule after they've done this tremendous carnage. They will rule for 15 days. And then Jesus will come and end it all. And then I tell you at the end, the good news about God. God is going to save everybody. And I know that really rubs many people the wrong way. But see, the Bible says nothing is impossible with God. Yet the churches teach that. They say nothing's impossible with God. Oh, but all these things are impossible with God. There are people beyond his reach. There are people he can't save. There are people who are too bad. So Satan can win God's children away from him, and God's tearing his hair out, wondering, I don't know how to win my children back. I don't know how to win my children. God is God. There is truly nothing impossible with God. And the end of the book is the best news you've ever heard. We're going to go through a lot of trouble, but God is testing us to see if we'll stand for him. Or are we going to go the way of the least resistance? Oh, well, I have to keep my job. I have to keep my job, so I'll get vaccinated and I'll do all of these things. I have to keep my job. Well, then you don't trust God. You don't trust God that he can find you another job, or that he will take care of your family if you are out of a job. You have to learn to trust God. This is all about learning to trust God. That's what all of it is about. Don't get distracted with the details and how they stole the election and who's going to run in 2024. It makes no difference. Doesn't matter who's president.
It's amazing, Dr. Day. And, I've learned so much. And for those of you who are tuning in, maybe it's the first time, I want you to know that we have the privilege to have this beautiful lady guiding us in the New Truth series. The first one we did, now we've got the DVD. We record everything. So So we recorded everything. We got the New Truth series, the Book of Revelation. I don't know if you can see this really clearly, but now that that's done, we had people saying we want it on DVD. You can get it online, or you can get it on DVD. It's up to you. So if you missed it, you still have an opportunity to learn what's going to happen. Dr. Day goes through chapter by chapter, line by line, and telling us what's connected to what's happening now. A phenomenal. I learned about universal restoration, which was so liberating, that God will create, will heal. There's nobody out of the reach of God, and everyone will be restored. And so once they reap what they sow. They reap what they sow. So very liberating. So if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you can go to the New Truth series. And we're just going to be, actually, the people who have ordered already, it should be going out on Monday, the 15th of March, which I'm really excited about.
And also, if you're not a member of the 50 Lessons from the Exodus, which turns out to be many more, this is teaching 100. Yes, this is teaching. We're learning what God had to teach the Israelites when he brought them out of actual physical slavery. Yeah. And God is bringing us out of the slavery of sin. And those are the things that we're supposed to learn. And even the Bible tells us these are written for our examples right now. Mm-hmm. And so this is God's way of saying, come back to me. Mm-hmm. Come back to me. These are the lessons you need to learn so you can live with me forever. Now, everybody will eventually live with God forever, but it's a lot easier to learn it now than later, because it will be harder to learn it after you have lived a life of rebellion than if you say, okay, I want to learn it now.
Yes. And so the 50 lessons plus the 50 other bonuses, the 100 lessons from the Exodus is currently happening. We just completed our 8th week, but there's still all the sessions are recorded, so you can join that as well. And of course, from after the 50 lessons, the Book of Revelation, I did my first I Am the Solution workshop, and Dr. Day gives us a little cameo, but it's a huge opportunity to learn from her even more. So there's so many things that are going on in the classroom. And thank you to Dr. Day, who is very busy, still had the time. I mean, she is so busy. She had the time to do what she does, plus write this book, and plus be in the classroom once a month. It's beyond our comprehension how she gets everything done. But when you practice the Saturday Sabbath day, it's amazing all the things that you can do. So
the other thing is, when you follow the Lord, your life becomes much more orderly. God's creation is very orderly, and Satan creates chaos. So the closer you get to God, the more orderly your life becomes, and you can accomplish much, much more in a shorter period of time.
Yes. So we're coming towards the end of the class today. This is the overview. We're going to, after this class, we're going to take a little break, Dr. Day and I, and we're going to record it. Dr. Day, raw, live, whatever she wants to say, we're going to go section by section, and she's going to say whatever she wants to say. And I'm going to upload that video on Friday on BitChute. The way to go there is go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the how to watch the views or past shows, and BitChute channel is there. Just click on that. It'll take you there. It'll take you to YouTube, Facebook, and make sure you check out my sponsors and my affiliate sponsors while you're in there. And remember always to subscribe. Dr. Day, if somebody is tuning in right now, and they want to go, oh, what are they talking about in the classroom? I just tuned in right now. What would you like them to know about your new book, The Deliberate Destruction of America and the World? Who's doing it and why?
This is the truth that you've never been told on the media. And if you want to find out what's really going on in the world and what's going to happen in the future, then you need to get the book.
Absolutely. And you did that.
You can go to my website.
That's right. Good.
drday.com. That's drday.com, or Good News About God, one word, goodnewsaboutgod.com. And it's right. The advertisement is right on the front of the homepage there.
That's right. And you can order your book there. So go to drday.com, goodnewsaboutgod.com. Hopefully, and you can from anywhere around the world, right, Dr. Day? Anybody can
yes.
order.
The people are ordering from all over the world: South Africa, the Netherlands, France, England, Australia, New Zealand, the island of Cyprus, all over the world. People are ordering the book. The important thing is that God is waking people up, those whose mind he has opened. He's waking them up to the truth. And I'm not talking about being woke. I'm talking about actually waking up.
Yeah, that's so important. And we do need to wake up because the time has come. I never thought I'd say this myself, but for whatever reason, even worst case scenario doesn't happen. Even if the worst case scenario doesn't happen, at least we get closer to God. I know that that's not what Dr. Day, what we're talking about, but you have everything to gain by taking a closer walk with God. Dr. Day, you are an amazing woman. I am looking forward to our little teacher's pet corner. So I'll look at any questions that they might have for now. And then the questions that you text me here, 407-373-5959. If you've bought the book and you're ready to ask some more questions. Dr. Day, you're amazing, and I'm very grateful. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Lorraine Day wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so what I meant to say, I said it very quickly. Even if you don't believe this, even if you do not believe that this is going to happen, the best case scenario is to get close to God, no matter what. That's what I meant to say, Dr. Day. Oh, we need to, hold on a second. Let me unmute you. Or let me ask.
But the problem is that if they don't believe it's going to happen, they won't get closer to God. That's what it's all about.
I know what you mean.
We have to have something to push us to God, because the Bible says that men's hearts are desperately wicked. It says there are none that seek after God. So if we don't believe these things are going to happen, we'll say, I don't need to know God. I can run my whole life. It's a crutch. So that's why all these things are happening, and that's why they have to get worse. Look how bad it is now, where people have to wear muzzles when they go out. They're wearing masks, and people are out of jobs, and they're destroying small businesses. And yet, are people turning to God in huge numbers? No. That's why it has to get worse and worse.
I know.
Because unless you are forced by your own circumstances, God doesn't force you. But unless circumstances happen that make it impossible to go elsewhere, you will never turn to God.
One thing that when you were talking today, a thought came to mind. You were talking about about Satan's taking over the world, and all of a sudden the word free will came to my mind. I think free will, the idea that we all have free will, that's what you said, that God has lost control, that God doesn't have control, that if there was such a thing as free will,
God, he's lost control.
Correct. And so all of a sudden that word just made me think Satan created that word.
Right.
So that Satan, so that is a lie, that we were taught that we have free will. And this is what I explained. I explained this in the workshop, the I Am the Solution workshop, and I've explained it in the classroom. In John 10, it says you cannot be snatched from the hand of God. And then that's my that's loosely, I'm not quoting
but
it.
Even Ephesians 1:11 says that God is operating everything according to the counsel of his own will, not ours. His will.
But with that in mind, we have these that you cannot be snatched from the hands of God. Well, why are these terrible things happening? Because we walk away from God. We walk away from God and we say, I don't need you right now. I got free will. And that's the seed that was planted that causes us to say, okay, well, let me eat from the apple.
That's the difference between that's the difference between thelema and bolema.
Oh, say more.
Thelema is the Greek word that we translate will. Okay. Now, you can thwart the will of God. You can reject his will by breaking the 10 commandments. People do it all the time. But in many cases, they translate the word will, which is actually the word bulima, which is the word intention. See, it says in 2 Peter 3:9 that it is God's intention, not his will, his intention that none should perish, but all should come to repentance. So you can thwart the intermediate will of God, but you cannot reject his ultimate intention to save you through all your thwarting of his will.
Interesting. You know, you guys have a question about how much time we have left. Doctor says, you know, it says in the Bible, no one knows the hour or the
day or the hour,
year.
but he doesn't say we won't know the month or the year.
That's right. That's
not
right.
suggesting that I know the month of the year, but he keeps telling us, watch and be ready, watch and be ready, watch and be ready.
That's all we
Well,
know.
if we're going to watch and be ready, we got to watch and be ready for something. And we've got to have the prophecies that tell us when we're getting close. And that's what I say. We're getting close.
Yeah.
And all of these things are happening to tell us we're getting close, getting close. And that's why Jesus says, watch and be ready, because we will know when we're very close, and we are close. Now, we are several years because certain things have to happen. We've discussed that in the Revelation seminar, but that doesn't mean that we're, decades away. We aren't. And as I've said before, I'm a lot older than most of you. I just turned 84, and I believe that Christ will come in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm pretty healthy, but I'm not going to live forever unless he comes.
Yes, yes. And so, okay, so one of the questions that is asked here, which we've discussed in the Book of Revelations New Truth series, and by the way, everything is recorded, so you can take advantage of all these wonderful lessons. Cybergun wants to know, Dr. Day, how much longer do you think it will be until they collapse the current system?
Well, when you say collapse the current system, what kind of the current system? You mean the economy? The economy will probably collapse this year, 2021. If not this year, certainly next year, but I think it will be this year that they will collapse the economy. And that's been going on for a long time. That's why they took over the Federal Reserve. They had the Federal Reserve Act passed, which is illegal. And the alien group owns, and when I say aliens, I'm not talking about people from outer space. I'm talking about evil people groups that have taken over America. And they took that over to take control of the money supply of America and most of the countries of the world, and they're going to collapse it. We have a national debt that we will never be able to repay, because the only way we can get money to repay it is to borrow more money from them. So it is an impossible thing, and they will destroy our economy. And so I think it will happen either this year or absolutely next year.
Yeah.
If you want to know how long I think that this will last, again, as I've talked, they have Agenda 21, which is for the 21st century, and then Agenda 2030, which is the year 2030. And you know why they picked that year? They picked that year, that's Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. They picked the year 2030 because that's a 2,000-year anniversary of the beginning of Christ's ministry. So they want to have it all done in that period of time. So they want to have all 6 billion plus people killed by 2030. They actually want to have it done by 2025. Now, Jesus said if he didn't cut things short, that there would be nobody left on earth. So, but I believe it will probably be, again, I'm not date setting, but all the signs of the times where Jesus says, watch and be ready, are happening. And the last events are going to be very rapid. And so I think it may well be before 2030.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it goes to show you when you say things like that, it always just like pierces my heart when you say something like that, that it convicts me that even Satan and the followers of evil know scripture. Because, for them to pick that day, and it's the beginning of the ministry, they are scared of that ministry.
Of sure. Satan wants to be God of this earth. So he wants to make sure that by the time Jesus comes back, he has eliminated all Christianity, all remnants of Christ and Christians, and all remnants of goodness, because he wants to say, there's nobody here who worships you. This planet is mine. Go away. I own it.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to say. That's what the real goal of all this is to eliminate Christ, Christianity, Christians, and goodness.
Yes, yes. So for people that have read this book, I was reading, Sandy, you said you're numb. I'd said this throughout the entire series of the Book of Revelation that we did. We've got to stay focused on the end.
Right.
God wins.
God wins in the end. And all of this is to take us through all the things that we need to go through to recognize that we need Jesus Christ to run our life, and we're really not capable. I realize that when here I'm a doctor, I developed cancer, I was on my deathbed. I thought I was at the height of my career. As I've said, I was very unusual for women to go into orthopedic surgery. There were 20,000 male orthopedic surgeons. I was the 12th woman. I was head of a department, the first woman head of an orthopedic department. I was at the top of my career. I was dying of cancer. Obviously, there was a whole lot I didn't know, and I needed Jesus Christ to run my life. But people are so arrogant. They think, I don't need a crutch. I don't need that. I can run my own life. But look where we get ourselves. And so all of this is to get us to the point where we recognize we can't run our life.
We can't. And okay, so to clarify so that we're going to say, I'm going to copy all the people that have made comments, and I'm going to see if there's anything that can be used. If you want me to ask Dr. Day, if you've read the book and you have a question about the book, because what I hear is, what I know is that whenever I pick this book, it's like hard. It's like a magnet on my hand. I've got to like put it down. And even Robert could come every night. He kept like, did you know this? This? I'm like, Robert. So the situation is, we are not going to say, what we want to do is we want to take our conversation, and I'm going to ask Dr. Day section by section by section, and she's going to share whatever she wants to say. Once she's done with that, we're going to go to the next section. We're going to record this, and you're going to be able to see it on Friday on BitChute. The way you go to that, and make sure that you go to BitChute, that you subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be doing this more and more, because I want to, I am grateful to Facebook and YouTube for their platform and the opportunity to bring this out to the world. And if I were to walk away from this right now, wouldn't be this right now. So we need for you guys to start merging to BitChute, and we're going to continue spreading the gospel, spreading the good news about God, like Dr. Day's website, goodnewsaboutgod.com, which is where you go get the book, drday.com. Go and get your book, get a copy of it. It'll be shipped to you. And then the next time we have this conversation with Dr. Day, you'll say, I already read the book. I know. But people, that comment, I feel numb. Can you shed some light on that, Dr. Day?
Well, of course, because we've been lied to so often. I have felt that way, 30 years ago when I was learning about all this. I thought, can this really be true? I actually trusted our government. When Richard Nixon was caught lying, I was horrified. And by that time, I was rotating as a resident through Mount Zion Hospital, which was a totally Jewish hospital. And they thought I was so cute because I was upset that the president lied. Thought it was, oh, isn't that cute that and I had no idea of the horrors that were really going on at the upper levels of government. I was so naive, but it didn't take long. It took several years and a whole lot of study and exposure to the media and what they were really doing in order to understand. And then it was a learning experience. God brought many, many people across my path. Lindsay Williams, who was a Baptist minister who was up in Alaska and ministering to the people in the oil fields up there. He got to know the oil magnates very well and found out what they were really doing. And he became my friend. And I was talking at many of these Patriot conferences, and I ran across many people, and God brought a number of people across my path. Bo Greitz, who was the most decorated agent, Green Beret, and he and I became very close friends. And I found out what was going on in Southeast Asia. And many, many people God brought across my path to teach me. Yuri and Joan Call are my friends, and his father found out what was going on, that taxes, IRS taxes are illegal, and he was showing that, and they murdered him, cut off his hands and feet, and murdered him in the most cruel way possible. And so I started learning about what's going on in the world, because God brought at least 20, 30 people with this kind of information in various areas across my path and taught me what's really going on. And this is all in the book.
Yes, and more and more. And so we're going to say goodbye right now. And we are going to Dr. Day and I are going to take a little break, and then we're going to get at it again. And we're going to record it from start to, and there's not going to be a theme song. There's not going to be an endings. It's just going to be the two of us having a conversation about the book, why she wrote the book, and all the details in there. And if BitChute is truly uncensored and they don't do censorship, it will be up on Friday, because I will have not been able to upload Harry Vox. And I was telling Dr. Day this, and he gave me a couple of reasons why it was not being able to upload, but it's interesting. I'm going to try. I've tried 6 times to upload that particular class that we did with Harry Vox, but it will not upload. And so if by chance this happens, we'll figure out a way to get it. We'll find another place where we can upload it, but I will keep you posted. But the only way to do it is if you subscribe to my channel so that you know what's going on. Okay. And, okay. So with that in mind, Dr. Day, is there anything else that you would like to say before we go?
No, we will discuss it all in the next session.
Oh yeah. Okay. I tell you what, Dr. Day is the teaser queen. Because she gives us a teaser at the beginning of, or at the end, or is it the beginning of each?
So at the beginning, we discuss the answer to the teaser from the last time, and then I give you another one for the next time.
Another teaser. So there's lots of different pearls in the lessons. And I hope you will join us in the 100 lessons from the Exodus, because we're now beyond 50. And so we, like I said to Dr. Day, we under promise and over deliver, don't we?
Right. I think by Monday night we'll be at 75, I think.
Yeah, 75. And we still have, and so, and before we go, we have already the next Bible series that starts August 16th. And it will end on November 1st, which is the anniversary of her
diagnosis of cancer.
Cancer. And we're so grateful. Although it was painful for Dr. Day, I'm grateful that she was able to see the beauty of what was happening to her and look at what's come out, what has birthed from that for her. So yeah, we can look at the cancer and how horrible it was, or we can say that all things work out for the good who love God. And so, Dr. Day, so that's going to be called, go ahead, Dr. Day.
Jesus Christ, Prophecies, Parables, and Miracles. Yes. So we'll learn all about his life.
Yes.
And what our life should be like.
That's right. And so now more than ever before, we need to learn to have that character in us, and learning and imitating, like you say, Dr. Day, that people wear the WWJD, or they act they put God in this box like they would put their buddy
Yeah.
Bubba, but the reality is that reverence and
God is holy. God is holy. He wants us to be holy. And he says he will make us holy. And that's what he's doing now. He's in charge. He's going to take you through whatever you need to go to get you to him. And it often is painful.
It is often very much so. Okay, so we're going to let you go. I know that you probably, let me, before I let you go, because if I don't do this now, I will not be able to do it. But let me copy anything that you guys have here. And that way I can read it. I won't be able to read it now, but I promise you that you will have a something to look at. Well, we're going to record it. We're going to record it. I don't know if it's going to go uploaded, but we know that we are going to get it done. So let me make sure I have, gosh, why is this happening here? Okay, so let me turn this off because we're going to be knocking ourselves out here. Okay, so I want to congratulate Dr. Day. This was really, really like, what's happening here? This has really been a very mild, very, we were able to talk about the generalities.
Was I well behaved?
You were awesome. You were more than well behaved. And so now we've planted the seeds. Now it's up to you to join us at BitChute on Friday. Hopefully it'll be uploaded, and I will let you know when it's on there. I will just go at it, check it out. I'm going to probably upload it the night before or the morning of. So you'll have all day and it'll be there. But make sure you subscribe to BitChute because we need to grow it. And if there's another website out there that is not censoring and you think that it will upload this class, I will absolutely join it so that we can at least have it. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye because we've got some work to do here, Dr. Day.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
Okay, see you guys. Bye.